Hi everybody, welcome to Designing Gals. I am Doreen from Door Designs. Happy Friday. I typically do my videos on Thursdays, but I took off Wednesday and Thursday. We had, instead of a girls' weekend, we had a girls' 2 days to spend together celebrating Debbie's birthday. So today I'm actually going to be designing a wreath for my front porch, and I let my grandsons, I have two, Christian 5 and Nolan 2, pick out what Nana was going to design with this year. So we went through the bees, butterflies, watermelons, and then I showed them the frogs. So needless to say, frogs won. So I dug out my old shirt that I typically wear when I'm working in the yard or doing things around the house, since this was going to be our theme. And I started to collect some of the frogs that I'm going to put around my flower pots and furniture and stuff. But this is one frog that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I really liked him because of the hot pink floral. And then I got a smaller one that's different color greens, which I really like bringing out different tones and textures. So this little guy's got 3 little flowers on him. And then I found 2 stakes that I'm going to put actually in my flower pots. And the first one, and I'll cut the stakes down depending on the side of the pot that I use. See, he's got that bright blue flower. And then this little guy's got the hot pink like dragonfly. So kind of keeping in the theme of everything. The wreath we're going to be doing is about a 22-23 inch moss oval base. And the sign, I just absolutely love. I got the sign actually, I think last year, and it's by a Wood Art Studio by Iveth Wright. And if you've never gone out and checked out her shop, I would encourage you to, even if you're not a crafter and you just want to kind of enjoy some designs. She is so gifted, and her detail is just amazing. And I've bought several signs. I've got the gingies that I did. I've done 1 or 2 frogs. I've done some fall things. But I just really enjoy designing with them because they are so unique, and they're basically, you won't find them anywhere. So any design you get that's got an Iveth sign is really kind of a one-of-a-kind almost. So this is what we're going to be using, and kind of what I'm going to be doing. I went ahead and attached the sign, and what I did is I just I just stapled 2 wires, 1 on each side, and ran the wires through and then just twisted them down. And you'll notice that it's not super tight, but since I'm not shipping it anywhere and it's just going to stay on my front door, I don't really need to do anything else with it. But if you were designing a wreath like this size with this kind of a sign, and you're going to be shipping it, I would have probably put another wire at the bottom and then wired it in from here. But I'm going to leave all of this open, and the reason I want to do that is because to me the frog's sitting, so I'm going to put a huge bow, lots of greenery and floral coming down here, because I want it to look like the frog is sitting in the garden, in the flower garden. If I put a bunch of stuff up here, I think it'll really take away from the uniqueness of the frog's face. So I'm going to focus, for me, for my design, I'm going to focus everything on down. So for the greenery, I just went to my greenery walls and I just picked all different kinds of greenery. And the greenery, I wanted it to be different textured and different colors of greenery. So of course I always put in some ferns, and then I'm going to add some dark leafy light greens. And I like how the colors kind of pop each other. And then I'm going to put in a few like little twigs here, little leaf branches, and see how it's kind of variegated. So it brings in the darkness and the lightness of the ferns in this bush. And then I got this one at Hobby Lobby, and see how it's even lighter green. And it's got some little pink buds on the end. And what's nice about bushes like this, I'm going to cut all of this apart at the bottom, so that way I can insert it at different sides and areas of my design. What's nice about this too, at Hobby Lobby, they have these in different color, like little buds at the end. I think they have purple, white, pink. I was thinking maybe yellow. I'm not sure about the yellow. So we're going to be using several different greeneries, and the same thing for the florals. The florals, we're going to be using some fuchsia. We're going to be using some cream color or white colors. I love these that have the kind of almost like a little daisy look to them with the pink in the middle with the different color greens. We're going to be throwing in some bright hot pink, some fuchsias also here. And then I'm also going to add some blue, and I'm not going to put a lot of blue in it, but I do want to put some blue in it because I want that blueness of the eyes to still really come out and pop. So that's why I'm going to put this blue in. So when people ask me all the time how I decide what florals and greeneries, it's just what you like. So what I do is I kind of take what's in my focal point, which is, and when I say green, I don't mean just green. I look at like, okay, there's a darker shade in green, there's a lighter green. So I look at all the different color greens, and that's when I start pulling out different color greens in my florals and my greenery. And then I look at the blue, it's got white, it's got the pink and the tongue and the cheeks. So I'm kind of pulling out different colors. And then what I do is when I kind of find those basic colors that are in my attachment, then I kind of say, okay, here's kind of the basics that are in it, but what else do I like? And that's when I throw in, for anybody that watches me, you know, purple and lavender are one of my favorite things to design with. So even though there's no purple or anything in here, I'm going to use some purple because I think it just adds another dimension and another color to the florals. So you can use any florals you want. You just got to jump in and just start adding to them. For the ribbon, it's kind of the same thing. I kind of look at what's in my main sign and what ribbons I want to go with. I don't really necessarily look at ribbons that say, okay, if I use this color green, what can I put with it? Because if I do that, I spend way too much time rethinking and overthinking what my ribbon colors I want. So I'm going to start out with this really kind of swirly green ribbon. It's a 4-inch, and it's got a little bit of a bling in it, and I want a little bit of the bling in it because my sign, which I don't think you can probably tell, has a shiny, shimmery sheen to it. And then we're going to go with some hot pink with some little polka dots with the green because I've got some little polka dots on the frog. And then we're going to get way outside the box here, and we're going to do some blue with the big polka dots, and that's because of his eyes. And then I'm going to add some black and white. I'm going to add some of this green that's got different shades of green because my frog's got different shades. And then I might add just a little bit at the top of, and kind of tie it together, of the hot pink with the light green, white, and the lime green. One of the questions I get asked a lot is, why don't I use ribbon that's got the actual like frogs in it, or watermelon or lemon? I do, but on things like this, like I'll show you, I've got this frog ribbon. That's adorable. That's got the fireflies. It's got the pink. But in my opinion, and it's just strictly my opinion, I don't like to put a busy ribbon that's got frogs when I have a big frog like this. I don't think it really complements each other. If I was doing a design that had a saying about a frog or a smaller frog on it, I would absolutely use the frog ribbon to help make that design pop. But for this design, I don't think it needs a frog on top of frogs. So I'm not going to be using the frog ribbon today. And then I'll probably end up, we might add a butterfly or two, or just something else to kind of give it some little whimsical design to it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I typically do my bow first, but I'm actually going to do some of my greenery first and start filling in. And I've moved my camera a little bit, so I hope this kind of helps. I've kind of moved it more in the middle, so I'll try to design it and stay out of the way of the camera here. But I need to move my stem cutter. Okay, I'm just going to start adding greenery around the bottom. And I am going to be using my stem cutter on, or not stem cutter, my steel pick, because a lot of my greenery is not going to be strong enough to go through this wired moss. Typically, if I'm just using a grapevine, I don't really use my pick machine, but I just pick the end and then I dip it in my hot glue, my glue skillet, which is just an electric skillet from Walmart that I've added Gorilla Glue sticks to it and melted. So let's just kind of start adding here. I got to move a few things out of here. I think it would help if I took my tag off my greenery here. And this fern came from a local shop here in town, Randolph Mercantile. But you can find ferns about anywhere, Hobby Lobby, Michael's. I get a lot of my greenery from the wreath shop, or the greenery shop. Greenery Market, Deco Exchange. And like I say, when I first start out, it always looks funny, but you just gotta hang with me until that fell in there. Okay, so I've added my longest greenery first, and I put it towards the back. So now I'm gonna do layer 2, and I'll put that in between and kind of bring it just a little bit further, because what I'm doing is I'm layering my greenery as I fill in. And see how nice and full this is? Now this one's got a stiff enough end that I think I can add it without using my pick machine. While I'm cutting this, I gotta tell you, I helped my husband. We had some limbs break off on some trees that are along our fence line, and I was gone and I came home, so I went down and stopped and talked to him, and I helped him and my son lift up 2 just kind of branches, because he was behind the fence, I was in front of the fence, and I had on a t-shirt and stuff. And the next day I had poison ivy, and I have never had poison ivy in my life, but I have it all down my arm, all up the side. So that's another reason why I have on long sleeves. But I learned a big lesson on doing things outside. So I had to go get the steroid shot. This kind of looks like I'm just putting a skirt on this frog. But it'll be pretty. I think I want to add 1 or 2 more pieces here. Okay, so all I did was add my second greenery, and see, it just kind of fills it in. It's light, it's whimsical. I'm going to put in some of my shorter greenery up along here. Okay, I'm going to take some of my greenery and start moving it up a little bit so I can kind of fill it in, because I don't want everything coming straight down. And see how I'm just randomly, there's no right or wrong on how and where you need to place this. It's just kind of your preference. Because we can move things around, we can fill it in different areas. See how cute that looks with the greenery? And see the different tones? The light and the darker really starts bringing out more on the frog. Okay, I'm going to cut up a little bit of this with the pink on it. And then I'm going to do the bow. But this will kind of give me a base. And I'm focusing most of my greenery on the sides, and you'll notice I'm kind of leaving this hole right here because that's where I'm going to attach the bow, and then I'll fill in around that some more. Okay, so I added 1, 2, 3, 4. I added 5 pieces of this branch, and see how much I still have left. So I'm going to use probably all of this, but I'm going to go ahead and attach my bow, and then we're going to use it to fill in. Because what's nice about this too is I can cut these long pieces in half and use some of the shorter pieces to get in closer to my bow. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do our bow. And I'm just going to do it by hand. So this tail is about 15 inches long, and I'm just going to pinch it. And then I'm going to measure out 6 inches or 12 inches because I want each loop to be 6 inches on each side. So I just measured out 12 inches and I put it behind me. I just lost my 12 inches. There it is. And I'm just pinching it again. Now I'm going to twist that so my pretty side's facing me again, and I'm going to measure out 12 inches and then pull it straight down so I can see the pretty ribbon, and then pull it behind me. And then I'm just going to pinch it again. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. Okay, see how nice and full that is just with the one ribbon? And the other thing I kind of want to show you is if you don't want to add a bunch of florals and you just want to do your wreath with greenery and stuff, that is really easy to do because once I add that, I could put in some more greenery and kind of add some more detail down here and not even have to put in a bunch of florals. Because there are a lot of people that love just to have their wreaths just with different tones of greenery. Okay, I'm going to use my Bodabra, and all I'm going to do is have it hold my ribbon. Since a lot of my ribbon is pretty thick, it's easier for me with my hands to use that and then just make each loop. Okay, now I'm going to do the exact same thing with my blue and white polka dot ribbon. Measure out 12 inches. Make my loop. Pinch it. Measure 12. Take it behind and pinch it. So really what I'm doing is I'm making a bow tie for each one. And once you start making a bunch of bows, half the time you won't even have to measure it. You can just kind of eyeball it and know. But since I'm kind of teaching and stuff, I like to measure it. So I'm just kind of fluffing it out as I go a little bit. So see how you can see all the different colors, how it's starting? So I did my 4-inch ribbon first, and then I did my 2.5-inch ribbons, and now I'm going to do my 1.5-inch ribbons. And then I'm going to do my black and white. So the bow is a really simple bow, but since I've got so many different colors of ribbon in it, it's really going to stand out. You don't have to use this many ribbons. You can use as many as you want or as few as you want. A lot of times these really narrow ones are not wired, although this one does have a little bit of maybe a little wire to it. So typically I keep my loops a little smaller. And I think I'm going to do 4 of these. And all I'm doing is just going up and back. That's all you got to do, up and back. Actually, I'm going to do 3 on each side. And there's all the different colors. So I'm going to take my wire and tie this off, and then I'll kind of play with it and loop it. Typically I use a zip tie for my bows because I can get it super, super tight. It's easier on my hands, but with this wreath base, it's a lot easier to use a wire. Okay, once I get everything wired in, now what I do is I kind of just go around and just kind of fluff it a little bit to make sure I've got enough ribbon, and B, I have them kind of all where I want them. And I like the whimsical of the 5/8 inch. So there's kind of what the bow is going to be. So let's get that attached. And I'm not putting the bow directly in the center. I'm going to put it off to the side a little bit. And I'm just pulling out all the different ribbon tails, and we'll play with the ribbon tails a little bit more. Okay, the bow is added. And see how it brings out all the different colors in the frog? And I love how the blue really brings out the blue in the frog's eyes. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more of the greenery with a little bit of the pink buds. And I want to show you what a finished one would look like with the bow with just the greenery. Because I think the greenery really is very pretty with this. The other thing to remember too is whether you're buying a wreath or designing one, for me at our house sits pretty far off the road and you have to drive through kind of a longer driveway. So for me, I like to have my wreaths bigger and brighter. So when people go by or when I pull in, I can see more of the wreath and it's got a nice punch to it. If your design or your home is closer and it's more open, you may not need to have as big a wreath or as bright a wreath to make an impact on your porch. Okay, so all I'm doing now is going back around with the greenery with those pink buds on them. And I'm kind of filling in where I saw gaps and holes. had, oh, I do. Okay, look how cute it is with just greenery, with just that little tinge of pink on the end. It's full, it's three-dimensional, and I could very easily stop here and have a beautiful wreath on my front door. But I'm not, because I do want some florals. So let's add some florals. All I'm doing now is adding some tall and long whimsical pieces. So now I'm adding some of my length in my florals. Then a couple of pieces on the other side. Okay, so now I added the tinge of pink. And see how nice and bright that is and full? And this wreath's getting heavy. So we're just going to keep layering in different textures is all I'm doing now. And with these florals, I am going almost straight in. I'm not laying them flat. I think I'm going to have to come up with a name for my little frog. Just going to do a couple more pieces of this color. Another little added dimension with the different greens. I hate these tags. I'm adding in a bigger flower because everything else I have are greeneries and just very small flowers. I want to put a little pop of some big ones. So I'm going to be adding 3 big ones. And I'm going to be adding 3 blue, and I'm going to kind of be doing one up here, one down here, and one over here coming out. I know people ask me why I like to do my bigger things in 3s. I think 3s are easy to help keep your design in sync with each other, dimensional. So I always go like almost like a triangle, 1, 2, 3, and you can put your triangle at different directions. But see how it's got the triangle 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, and then I'm going to add this blue one right down here. I'm actually going to use a floral pick because I want it to be a little bit longer. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of my lavender because my design is nice and full. It's whimsical. It's bright. But who doesn't love lavender? For those of you who send me notes, thank you. I love it. I love hearing stories of how much you love designing with grapevines or different things that I've taught. I love seeing all the pictures. I've got a hole I see. I've got to fill this in real quick. Okay, now I'm just going to kind of fluff the bow back up, kind of place my loops where I want them. Some of these I'm going to dovetail and just kind of make them full. Others I'm actually going to curl and kind of pull them down. And then I put a little bit of lavender right in the center. Okay, I got to stand back just for a minute. Okay, this is one big froggy design. Okay, I think I'm going to add one thing. Because since I don't have anything up here, I think I'm going to add a bright butterfly and put it right up there by the frog. I'm just going to put one because if I put two, I'm going to want three, and I really don't want, I don't want it to become a butterfly wreath. Let me get some of these glue strings off. Okay, I think I've got Mr. Frog done for my front porch. It's big. But see how absolutely cute and adorable this guy's going to be on my front porch. So like I said, you could have stopped this well before adding as much in as I did. And if I was going to design this for this big of a wreath, it probably would have been a custom, because by the time I price this out, this would be a pretty expensive wreath. But I do enjoy doing large wreaths like this and stuff like that. So if you have a need for a large wreath, just let me know. But once again, thank you for joining, and thank you for all the followers and the people who share. It really helps my little business grow. I really enjoy working with everybody. So if you have any questions, just send me a note. And once again, I'm Doreen from Door Designs, part of the Designing Gals. And if you haven't checked out Katie from Crazy Maisie Creations, or Melissa from Burlap Boutique, hi honey, or Lori from Hardworking Mom, please do so. We really enjoy designing for you guys every Thursday. And if there's anything you want or need, just let me know. So once again, there's Mr. Frog. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.